Good evening, one and all. Welcome to another Saturday Night Live. I'm actually 9 minutes late, and people guessed what you guess why I was 9 minutes late for my live. Oh my gosh. Now, we are actually on um Instagram. We're now on Facebook, and also I'm actually on TikTok. And one of the things why I was so late this evening was because I put my TikTok on. Good evening, one and all. I put my TikTok on this evening. And after I've set up my IG, I've set up my Facebook ready for live, but it had this face effect. And I was thinking, what on earth is that face? As much as it was cute, it was just never. I think that was actually for a time when I'm actually not doing a live on a Saturday night. So it just wasn't working for tonight at all. So my apologies for being so late, ladies and gentlemen. I am really sorry about that. So into our evening. Now, this evening, I don't have a actual topic. Now, for those of you who are on TikTok, it's we're a Saturday night. This is our usual Saturday Night Live. I've been doing this Saturday Night Live for what? Well over a year now, and so every Saturday at 11 p.m. UK time, that is my time, and Jamaica time, which is between, now we're actually an hour back. It's 6 p.m. I think in Jamaica and 7 p.m. in the US. Normally it would be 6 p.m. US and 5 p.m. Jamaica, but because of the time zone, we are an hour forward when it comes on to Jamaica and America. All right, although we are in Britain 1 hour behind. So yes, anyway, so tonight, as I said, I don't have a topic, so to speak. However, one of the things there's so much going on today in the world. When we think about Britain, all of the changes that we've had over the last couple of weeks, there's so much going on, so much uncertainty. Persons are really finding it difficult in relation to, their mortgage, persons, job, insecurity, and also, everything seems to be turning upside down around the world, and we just don't know what's going on. Now, for the last couple of weeks, I haven't really had a topic. Normally, what I would do is I'd invite persons to come on to the platform, and we discuss certain topics. But for the last couple of weeks, it's I've been doing it on my own. And I kind of like the break at the moment. However, I will hopefully get back into getting people in. And one of the things that is quite dear to my heart is mental health and the impact it's having on our society. And when we see what is happening around the world, the war, we see all the financial situation, it's playing on people's mental health. And so, that really needs to be looked at. People need to consider other people, so if you're living around persons who for a fact that they are really struggling mentally, or they live alone, especially for the elderly. Let me just, before I actually get good evening, everyone who is joining, good evening on TikTok, good evening. You're tuning to our Saturday Night Live. I'm your host, Nadine. Now, we do this every Saturday night, I was saying before. Smile Again Jamaica Charity Foundation, which we abbreviate as SAJCF, where Smile Again Jamaica Charity Foundation. We are actually a charity that is set up in Jamaica predominantly for to support those vulnerable persons in Jamaica. So when we talk about vulnerable persons, we're talking about those persons like your elderly, mentally unwell. We're talking about persons who single parents, all of those that are actually that falls under the vulnerable category. So for the last over a year, I've been doing this live. And again, I must mention, I also, invite persons to come on in and do something. Now, if you want to come on to the live, all you've got to do is just just let me know. And as I said, I don't really have a topic tonight, but what I want to really talk about is the situation that we're facing, and that's the economic crisis that is actually taking over, and how it is actually impacting on our mental health. Now, you can stick your comments in the comment section, so that, if you have something that you want to say, please stick it in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy, to talk about it. So we're talking about, again, how this financial turmoil, how the economy is affecting or impacting your mental health, or your psychological health. So if you find that you're thinking more about it, and so please drop me a comment, or drop me a message, and let's have a discussion about it. So, one of the things we're seeing is, since the pandemic, the economy has been going topsy-turvy. So we had the pandemic, which started around about December 2019, and it's still having an impact on our economy. And a lot of persons really struggled with through the actual pandemic, because one, especially in the UK, we were locked. A lot of countries, we were on lockdown for 2 years. Persons weren't allowed to leave their homes. Persons weren't allowed to leave, unless you were working in the health sector, which I was privileged to be working in at the time. So for me, it was okay. I was able to go into work when I was working, and so that wasn't such a bad. But for persons who wasn't a frontline worker, it was very challenging for them, because think about, if you're an actual social person, you like to go out, you like to do your stuff, but then you were suddenly told you had to sit into your home for 2 years. Now, how that played with persons anxiety, with persons emotion. And so a lot of persons were very, 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 very anxious about that. It caused a lot of anxiety, a lot of panic attacks, a lot of depression for for individuals, for persons. And one of the worries, I was really worried as a mental health nurse. One of my worries and my concerns for persons was the fact that we had to social distance. Now, we have a lot of persons out there who struggle with anxiety, just even without COVID. Persons struggle with anxiety. So think about having to be told that you have to keep away from people and stuff. How that actually played such a huge a thing on your Oh my gosh, I didn't even see that. Miss RW, Miss underscore RWI said you're beautiful. Just wanted to let you know. Thank you so much for that. I didn't even see that. I'm hoping you're still here. Thank you, thank you. I didn't see that. Thank you so much for that. And I persons may look on your outward appearance and see that as beauty, but from I am what you see on the inside is what you're going to get on the outside, and what you see on the outside is what you're going to get on the inside anyway. And so for me, everybody who beauty is not always on the outside, but it's what's in the inside. And for everybody, just always remember that you're always all beautiful, and don't ever look on your outwards appearance as just being your beauty. Beauty shines from your inside and outward. So if your inside is beautiful, your outward appearance will be beautiful. So for everyone out there on Instagram, on TikTok, just want to say thank you for that, Miss underscore R underscore was underscore I appreciate your comments, and I just also want to say to everybody out there, you're also beautiful. And so back to before I got distracted about that. So thank you so much. So when we think about what was happening, how that really played on persons' mental health, there was a lot of things going on. All the restrictions, persons were anxious about even the vaccines. There was so much misinformation spreading all over, this and that and all these things. So there was so much for people to contend with during the pandemic that would have caused anxiety, would have caused depression, would have caused a lot of stress and strain on person's mental health and mental state. Now we are slowly managing to come out of out of the pandemic and kind of get ourselves back into that interacting with people, doing all the stuff that we were doing post the pandemic. Then suddenly, the turmoil with the war in Iraq, the war, sorry, in Ukraine, that kind of triggered another, anxiety, because it started to impact on the economy again. So can you imagine? It's as if you come out of one disaster and then you keep going into another disaster. And for those persons who struggle with anxiety, I can't imagine how this is actually impacting people. And so this morning, in actual fact, as I stroll through my TikTok, I noticed a lady who literally was in tears. Oh my gosh, I felt so, I just could feel her pain, how she was so frustrated, because she has a prepaid meter. Now, if you are not from the UK, you may not be familiar with what is called a prepaid meter. Now, in the UK, what we do have for those persons who may be watching who are from another country and don't know what a prepaid meter is, we know how difficult it is in terms of the what is going on with the oil prices, gas prices, you know, how it's just going out of proportion over here in the UK. Now, for those persons who don't know what a prepaid meter is, it's a meter that you put in. So you have your gas meter, you have your electric meter. Now, for persons who are living in Jamaica, they might have their meter reading. They have, you know, you get your electricity and then they send you the bill, you pay the bill. Now, a lot of us, yes, have that. However, here they have what is called the prepaid meter, where you get a key, you go to the shop, top it up, and then insert it into your meter. Now, this lady was in so much tears for the simple fact that she had no money to actually purchase gas. She said she's been waiting on her 60 something. I believe the government is gonna give some money to persons who are on the lower spectrum, lower income side. But she didn't have, she's been waiting for so long and hasn't received that money. She's contacted the electric provider, the gas provider, but to no avail. And this lady was in so much tears. And you know what? It broke my heart. It really did break my heart to see the pain that this lady was going through. And I do hope, you know, persons have reached out to her and got in touch with her to give her, you know, some kind of a support, because people are actually at breaking point in this country. People, when they think about, and we are told that in actual fact, it's just going to get worse, because when the budget is read, people are going to be paying taxes, more taxes. We've seen in this week where the Bank of England raised the interest rate to 3%. Now, there's been years when we've been on like 0 or practically 0%. So people weren't, you know, mortgages were quite reasonable and various. Now we're seeing rapid increase in interest rates. We're seeing persons unable to get on the property ladder anymore because of the actual, what, we're at 10% apparently. You know, we had a 3% rise, I think, yesterday. It is absolute craziness. What is actually happening? Do you know what is really happening to our society? What is really happening to Britain? And not just Britain, the whole world is just under attack. We're just under attack. You come out of one crisis, you're into another crisis, and it's just a spiraling thing. And so I am so concerned for those persons who are really finding it difficult. And I do trust and I do hope that you know, persons such as the government, persons in authority, are actually mindful of the concerns that people are actually going through, you know, the concerns that people have, understanding the impact that this is going to be having on persons' mental health. And so please, I am appealing to the governments, to all of these leaders, you know, think about what it is doing to people's mental state. People are at the verge of a breakdown. We're seeing more suicide than we've ever seen. And especially when you think about even Jamaica, we are hearing so much persons, in recent times that have committed suicide, that have done, they felt that their only option was to take their own life. And this is really, 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 really sad, because people are at breaking point. And I am encouraging and I'm pleading to those persons who are in government. You are able, yes, you're able to, you have to make tough decisions. However, when you're making those tough decisions, you have to think about those persons who are really vulnerable and are at risk, because we are seeing so many people are elderly persons. They don't have enough money to heat their homes. No, we are so grateful, thank God, that the cold spell is not yet taking its effect. We're just feeling the cold now, because I today it was quite cold. Yesterday as well, I could feel the cold. So the cold is it's not too bad. We're still seeing some kind of a sunshine. But can you just imagine when the winter, blessings, Stananichi, how you doing? God bless you, God bless you. Can you just imagine when the cold comes into effect for those who are living in Britain, and for our elderly, for those persons who are not able to heat their homes, who are not able to to eat? We're seeing an increase in even our supermarket bills. Now, I remember years ago, I'm talking about for quite some time now, I was able to go to the supermarket with less than £50, and I could fill my trolley. Now you're not even getting. The other day we went into the supermarket, myself and my husband. We went into the supermarket and we only picked up a few items. I'm talking about a few items, and the price was just ridiculous. My husband said, "Oh, that but it's how much things have actually increased over the last couple of months. You're no longer able to go into the supermarket and feel that you can come out, and you can come out with a good amount of shopping. No, because of all of the increases we're seeing. And not to mention, this was always the case when you for persons who are in Jamaica. I'm sure America and might be experiencing the same kind of a situation. But I could remember when I went to Jamaica. I haven't been since 2019, and I've always I was able to go every single year prior to COVID, but since COVID I haven't been able to go. And I remember when I used to go into the shop and think about, I'd bring 20,000 and that would never even do anything. I could only walk out with a little bag, and we're seeing the same kind of thing. I used to criticize the fact that, I walk in with 20,000 Jamaican dollars and there's nothing you can buy in the shop with that. But now we're actually seeing the same thing happening in Britain today. We're seeing the same very thing happening now. And so, can you just imagine how this is impacting people's psychological health? And I am just saying this. People, we have to look after each other. We have to look after ourselves, but we also have to think about each other, because we need to get this we need to get this, this issue that we're facing, it's not going to be going away. It doesn't appear anytime soon. And so therefore we have to support each other. So if you know of somebody who is an elderly person, who is vulnerable, who is on the vulnerable list. And when we say vulnerable persons, we're talking about persons who are elderly, persons with mental health or learning disabilities. We're talking about persons who at risk of being bullied or victimized, or persons who may take advantage of person. We know there are people out there who will pry on people who they know they can manipulate. So I am saying this, please, if you know of persons out there who are struggling, who would need assistance, who would need help, who would need support, please look out for our vulnerable, look out for our elderly, look out for those persons who are at risk, because we are actually living in a very, 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 very serious time, and people's mental health are at risk. People are at risk. People really are at risk at this point. So please, I am appealing to us. Let us look after ourselves. Self-care is so important. Self-care is vital, but also please look around in your community. Look around, if you know you have an elderly nan, ensure that, and I know we all are struggling, we all are going through it, but ensure that your nan, your mom, even if it's not your immediate family, you know of somebody who may be at risk. Just ensure, because our winter season is swiftly approaching, and what we don't want is persons living because they are so scared, they haven't got enough money to put in their their electric, or put in their gas, and especially those persons who are on prepaid meters. It is just so sad. These persons, they are not gonna be, if they're not top up, if there's no top up, this is gonna have serious implications. I am so worried for the winter that is approaching, and I am just praying that no one is left struggling, because one, they're not able to feed themselves, and they're not able to warm themselves. And so please, let us be vigilant. Let us be our brother's keeper. And when I say our brother's keeper, let us look after each other. Yeah, look after yourself, but ensure that you look after if you are living close to somebody who you might think is an elderly person, doesn't have a lot of family members, or don't have much support network, please ensure that throughout the winter they have enough to top up their they have gas, electric, they have food, because these are basic things that, and they can be so stressful. These can play so much things on person's mental state if they are not able to feed themselves, if they're not able to warm themselves during the winter. So let us endeavor to be our brother's keeper. Let us look out for each other, ever so often. Make sure you check on an elderly person, a person who is vulnerable. Please, because guess what? The winter season is coming, swiftly approaching, and you know what? A lot of persons, it is just so sad, but a lot of persons won't be able to heat their homes. We're seeing it even before the winter. So can you imagine what it's gonna be like during the winter, when all these price increase, and it breaks my heart to think that, the energy companies, they are reaping so much, when there are so many persons out there, so many elderly that are really, 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 really gonna feel the cold this year. So please let us endeavor to look out for one another in your communities. You have neighborhood watch. I'm hoping that communities in the UK will have neighborhood watch, that will be able to support these persons. Make sure, whoever you're vulnerable are, persons are keeping an eye, because we don't want, the sad reality is, if we're not looking after, and some of it we won't be able to avoid, but if we can try, the reality is a lot of people will really, really suffer during this winter. A lot of people, because they're not going to be able to. And as much as the government say they're doing this and they're doing that, I don't think, for some persons, the help is not going to come quick enough. And it's gonna be too late for some people. And so please let us look after each other. Think about someone else. Yes, think about yourself, but also have a thought for someone else, someone who might be struggling during this time. Now, Smile Again Jamaica Charity Foundation, we because we're based in Jamaica, our main focus at the moment is in Jamaica. And what we do as an organization, again, we look out for the vulnerable. So we're talking about our elderly, and we set up in the community a food bank. Now, how this food bank operates, and nowhere else in Jamaica that has this setup. How it works is that persons go collect the food that they need for the day and just go home and cook for themselves. Now, we know we have a lot of food banks in the UK set up, but however, everywhere persons are feeling the pinch. The food banks are crying everywhere because of the current economic crisis that we are facing. So what is happening? All these food banks, they don't have enough food. Years ago, they used to be able to cater for so much. Now, because of what is happening, it's not, you're not able to, persons are not able to actually get as much in, given the economic crisis. So please, if you have food sufficient, share it with your neighbor, share it with your, somebody who might need it. If your fridge is full and you know that somebody out there, and there are so many persons out there who are homeless. Trigger, good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Yeah, I am saying thank you, sir. Thank you. Same to you. Sending love and hugs as well. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Now, please, if you know you can help. Blissful evening to you as well. Thank you so much, Trigger. Thank you. If you know you're in a situation that you can help someone else, please, thank you. Thank you for the love. Thank you. Please help. Help others. Help people. Help. People are gonna be needing this winter. Good night. Good night, good night, good night, Mikey. Good night, good night. People are gonna be needing our help, needing each other. We will have to rely on each other get through this winter, right? People living in the UK, people living in America, people wherever you are in the world, we're gonna have to rely that is hit with this economic situation, especially when we think about Britain and what has happened in the last couple of weeks. We are gonna need each other's support to get through this winter. And for our most vulnerable, which are our elderly, I am encouraging people, please keep an eye out, be vigilant, be watchful, be thoughtful, be empathetic towards our elderly, those who have got mental health issues. And bear in mind, a lot of persons are just about coming out of their anxieties and their worries from COVID, and only to be hit with this economic crisis. When you think about what is happening, it's only just making people's mental health even more and more and more. It's just putting people more and more into a crisis, mental health crisis. When you think about what is happening now, you think about even the very every single day you see where they're asking for support for persons who are able to do mental health assessment. It's because the mental health system is so overwhelmed because of the amount of persons that are actually being affected. Now, Trigger, you're saying in times like these, all we need is love and supporting each other. We should do what to sell us. Okay, what we should do? Yes, through yes, we have to support each other. We do have to support each other through this difficult time. And so I'm encouraging people, please, let us be our brother's keeper. Let us be each other's backbone. Let us look out for each other, because if we don't, we're gonna find in this winter there'll be a lot of elderly who will sadly, those persons who don't have families, that will be left behind, and we don't want that. So I am appealing to us, appealing to the wider public. Listen, the governments, they are in it for themselves, a lot of them, but we know what it is like as human beings. Let us be empathetic towards each other. If you used to be, think about yourself, let's think about your neighbors. If we all think about each other, if I think about my next door neighbor, if I know that I have an elderly person living next door to me, an elderly, yes, you might think that, yeah, she elder. No, just go and give a knock on the door. How are you? You don't even have to give some people anything. All you just need to do is just ask them, how are you doing? If there's anything you would need, even if you have the time, even because sometimes we can do so much with just encouragement. We don't, a lot of people think that when we do things. It has to be, or we have to give money, or we have to give. No, just kind words. Some people just want to know that you're there for them. That's some people, that's all they need. Some people will need a little bit more than that. And so if you're able to give a little bit more than that, please do that. But if you are in a position to help somebody. So, for example, some of the things that we can do to help somebody, a little elderly person, living next door, she normally would go during the winter time and go and do a little shopping in the cold. You drive, you're going to the supermarket. You can say to her, do you want do you want me to help you, take you to the shop, and just show some love. Please let us move away from the selfish ways that we normally, some of us normally have, and focusing on ourselves, and let us think about what we're going through and how we can actually support each other. During COVID, persons got together, persons supported each other and got people through COVID. Let us do the same in this economic crisis that we are facing. Let us get through it, get people together, let us help each other to get through. We don't know how long it's gonna take, how long it's gonna last, but we know, it's coming. It's gonna happen, but we can get through it if we are supportive towards each other. So people, please, I am appealing, I am just begging, please let us get through this crisis. Let us get through it, supporting each other. Look after your vulnerable, look after those persons. Trigger, you're saying we are the children from Ethiopia, we are one family, one world. Yes, we are all one people, we are all one family, we are all God's creation. And so therefore, whether whatever, wherever you're from, whatever, we are all, we bleed the same, and if we hurt the same, so let us endeavor to get through this season, this economic crisis, not just thinking about ourselves, but thinking about others. Because it's the only way we're going to be able to get through it, because there's so many people out there who this is having detrimental impact on their mental health, really impacting their mental health. I say again, the mental health service is under so much pressure. Not enough nurses. Nurses are burned out from COVID. Now we're seeing, the economic pressure that is put on people. They're not, nurses haven't been able to get a pay rise for so long, so they're working themselves, just to the ground, through COVID, then now this, and so it's just a never ending cycle. So let us help to take the pressure of the health service. Let us support each other. Look out for somebody. If we all look around our community, knock on our community doors, ensuring that everybody is okay, everybody is doing well, everybody has food, everybody is warm during this winter. Can you imagine how how beautiful that would be if we all take that same approach? Yes, it might not be the norm that we're used to, but I tell you what, a lot of people are going to need support in this time. So please let us be mindful of what we're the times we're facing, because listen, I think this is only gonna get worse before it even start to get any better. So please, please, please be on the lookout. Be on the alert for persons. Help our health service by looking out for each other. You know, if you used to call your mother or your grandmother, your nan, once a week, make it twice or three times a week, just to make sure that they have heating in the house, their homes are heated, that they have food, and that they're warm. Just look out for each other. If you have friends, if you have loved ones, neighbors, whatever it has, or even if it's not even your close friend, but somebody just give them a call, just to make sure during this winter time that they are actually warm. They're warm and they have food, enough food in their homes to keep them through the winter, right? Because it's the only way we're gonna be able to survive. Because listen, the increase is coming. The supermarket bills are increasing every single day. When you think about how much we used to be able to, I remember the day, and this is not even long ago, when I used to say how, I could actually use £1 and give me a meal for the day. I remember when I could pay buy a parcel of flour with £1 and have spare change. I remember when you could buy something that you could prepare with £1. Now you're not able to do that. So people, please, let us look after. And on TikTok I have self-care club. I have put this on because yes, we have to look after ourselves, but also we have to look after your mental health. And also when we care for somebody else, when I'm talking about when we show appreciate, when we show when we help others, so to speak, it is also helping our mental health as well. And we don't have to go overboard with it, but it is very, 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 very helping to our mental health when we can help others, right? So let us endeavor. Again, I cannot stress it enough. Look after each other during this winter. We're heading in turbulence time. I don't think we've seen the worst of it. We haven't heard the Prime Minister's budget. So please, and I had to speak about this topic because I came across a lady who was in tears today. She was crying. She said she works so hard, yet she's not able. She has no electricity. She has nothing in her house. She has contacted the electric company. She was in tears. This poor lady was crying her eyes out. Right? And this wasn't an elderly person. This was a young person. Right? So can you imagine what this is going to do to person's mental health? Right? People are just coming out of COVID with anxiety, coming out of COVID with depression, coming out of COVID with serious mental health, and we're back into another crisis. So can you just imagine what this is going to be doing to people when they think they have gone over the hurdle of COVID? We're now faced with this crisis of having to heat or eat. Some people can't even afford to heat or eat. They can't even afford either or either. So, I am just so concerned about what it's going to happen, what is going to happen to the vulnerable persons that are living in this country, and not just this country, but across the globe. Those vulnerable persons, for persons who are living in this country where the cold is gonna be such a this winter is gonna be, I cannot imagine, this is gonna be a bad winter for us here. It is going to be a bad winter. And so, please, let us look after each other. Let us take care. Sharing, somebody used to say, sharing is caring, right? And so, let us share our, our empathy, concern about somebody. Think about someone else. Think about the person around the corner who you know, the elderly person around the corner. We know that she don't have anybody, or he doesn't have anybody, to help out, or their family members are not close to them. Think about these people, please, and let us try and get through this winter together, helping each other, because this is the only way we're gonna get through it. And don't even think, listen, we can think all we like about the government and say the government is, listen, when they a lot of them, they're only in it for the power. They're only in it for the power. They don't understand what the ordinary persons are going through. They have no idea because they've never been there. They have never had to think about how you gonna eat. Am I gonna be heating my home, or am I gonna be putting food on my table for my children? They have never had to ask these questions, so they haven't got a clue what it is like for those persons. And yes, there are many persons who don't really understand what it is like, but sadly the reality for many persons is that, what do I do? Am I going to eat to keep myself alive, or am I going to heat my house to keep me alive? This is the question that people are asking. This is just so sad. I cannot imagine that we have reached as a first world country. Britain has got to this point. How did we get here? How on earth did we get to this point where people have to ask themselves, so many people, so please, our mental health, our NHS, is in crisis, and it will still remain in crisis until something is done drastically. People are struggling with their mental health out there, really struggling. Their anxieties have gone through the roof. Their depression, we're seeing the increase. So please, let us look out for the signs. Let us look out for the signs. You speak to your friend, and they're in tears. Now, some of the signs for depression, for those persons who aren't familiar with the signs of depression, there's teary, being our mental, being quite angry, unable to sleep, having insomnia, not eating properly, self-isolation. Look out for these signs in persons. If you know of people who are isolating themselves, ensure that just make sure that they are safe. People are really, really anxious. We saw on the news where last week or no, in actual fact, I think it was Monday, where this 52 or 54-year-old man, he petrol bombed this place in Kent. People's anxiety is just going through the roof, and just for fear. Because people seem to think that we're faced with this the issue with the heating, and then we have all these uproar about the issue of immigration, and all these things are playing on people's mind, people's vulnerability. And so they're gonna be persons who are gonna be thinking that they need to take things into their matters into their own hands. So therefore, let us endeavor to look out for each other. Just make sure that somebody is not too worried about things that that they feel they need to take these things into their own hand, matters into their own hand, where they become victims of hurting themselves or hurting others. Because the reality is, when people feel that they are backed into a corner, when they feel that they have no other alternative, this is when we see persons, a lot more suicide rate, a lot more things going up, mental health increasing. So please, 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 people, let us look out for each other. If you feel that you're getting a little bit too stressed, if you see where you're getting a little bit too stressed, and speak to somebody, speak to your GP. A lot of people find it very difficult to communicate, and especially since COVID, there's so many persons, especially the elderly, that I have spoken to that say they haven't got access as they used to have with their GP. You remember, before COVID, we were able to just ring your GP and just make sure you ring them before 8 o'clock, and you were able to have an appointment. Unfortunately, that is no longer the case for some people. They'll ring, and they'll never be able to even be booked in to see their GP face to face. It's now over over a computer, and people find that very, 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 very difficult, because not everybody, when people are suffering with anxiety, it is hard for them to actually speak over it's difficult enough to talk to somebody face to face, yet alone to talk to somebody about your anxieties and the things that are affecting you over a telephone screen, or over a computer screen. People find that very difficult, and so we are seeing a lot of these things, and that's why we're having so much problem, because people aren't able to go in and have a conversation, and a lot of persons don't know how important face-to-face contact is. Having the opportunity just to go in front of someone else and just to have, because one of the things over the years that I realized. Now, if you're doing an assessment, and I am privileged to be able to have done hundreds and thousands of these, and when you do an assessment for an individual, there's skills that you learn as a mental health therapist or a nurse. Some people, they don't like the eye contact, you staring at them, because they find it quite, but you learn how to look at your patient during your client during an assessment, but not in a way that will make them uncomfortable. Now I've learned, I be looking at them and they don't even realize that I'm looking at them, and I'm seeing things. I'm asking questions, but I'm also observing their behaviors. I'm observing the eye contact. Are they giving me eye contact? Are they quite nervous? And you have to be able to tap into that. If you see where there isn't a lot of eye contact, if you see where they're quite nervous, they're quite anxious, it's always a good thing to just reassure them. Reassurance is such an important thing, because some people, it's just to have just a calm and just a conversation, just to reassure them, listen, you're not in this alone. We're all gonna get through it together. So they realize that they're not on their own. Reassurance is so, 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 so important. A lot of people just need that. Just the reassurance that, listen, you're not in this on your own, and we'll get through it together. If you are struggling, just let us know. And I know you yourself might be struggling, but at least you're stronger than the person beside you. And if you have that, if you're stronger and you're able to encourage somebody, please encourage them. Encouragement, strength, labor, they say, and reassurance is such an important aspect, for somebody who is really struggling with their mental health, right? So let us please, let us try and get through this winter. Let us try and get through this economical turmoil together, supporting each other, right? Because we don't know how long this is going to last. But what we know, that we can get through it if we get through it together, right? They say no man is an island, so no man stands alone. Don't ever think that, because you might have enough money, you might have enough food on your table, you're able to pay your bills, and it doesn't impact. Listen, let me tell you the thing. I was speaking to somebody yesterday, and they made mention of a person who is quite wealthy, really, really wealthy, but on his sick bed, he said, imagine, I have so much, and this is a wealthy man, very, very wealthy man. And this was somebody I was speaking to yesterday. And what he said, imagine, I have all this money, but sadly, it can't even help me. If I was able to pay for my health, I would. But sadly, so I am saying this to say that, listen, you might think that things are okay with you because financially you are stable, you're in a good position, it won't affect you. But listen, let me tell you something, no. We all have to think about each other. We need to get through this winter. We need to get through this time. We need to get through the situation, this crisis. We need each other. So don't ever think that because, you have it all, you have money, you have this, you have it all. No, because there are many, many people who have got lots and lots of money who are so unhappy because, listen, mental health doesn't care who it affects, right? And so, therefore, let us be kind to each other. And for all those persons who, you have some people out there, they don't really have any filter to their mouth. And when I say filter to their mouth, they just speak any and anything and not even thinking about how it may impact or hurt someone else's feelings. Let us endeavor to be to be more empathetic when we speak in the era that we're living in now. Let us not be too hasty to utter words of unkindness to each and every one, because somebody hurt you. So you know what? Maybe just blurt out what my feelings. I always say it is always wise not to respond in the heat of the moment. It's always good to reflect sometimes before we actually say what we really. And sometimes, the word that somebody tell you, bun you, you really want to answer them and you really want to tell them something. But let us not be too quick to to respond in a way that will hurt someone else's feelings, because that will just drive away people, and that will even put them in a more depressive state, and that will just even if they had any kind of intentions to speak to somebody about what they're going through, the fact of the matter is, because you have hurt their feelings, they're not gonna tell. And so let us be mindful, that people may be going through serious challenges during this time, and let us help each other. And so a kind word, it won't cost us anything. Just a kind word can do so much for someone's mental health, and it won't cost us anything. Absolutely nothing. So let us endeavor to be mindful of everyone, just to be mindful of the persons we come into contact with. I make it a point of my duty, if I can, when I walk down the road, and if I see somebody, anybody at all, it doesn't matter who, and I'm passing, I just say good morning, because some people can be caught up in some, you don't know what is going through somebody's mind, and just a kind word from somebody can make such a huge difference. So let us endeavor to speak kindness from now on. Let us try and speak kindness. Speak kind. You know what? If we could set a challenge for ourselves, let it be that from today I will endeavor not to intentionally hurt someone's feelings, but to be kind. And when I say kind, because you don't necessarily have to give somebody something to be kind, just to say something kind to someone else, from now on, just to be kind to others. Can you imagine what a beautiful world we would live in if we all took the time out to be kinder to each other? Can you imagine? Can you just imagine what a beautiful world we would live in if we all took just that time to say, okay, I am going to be so kind. Well, not even so, just to be kinder to someone else, or everyone we meet. Listen, not everybody will extend that lend that back, but listen, let me tell you something. It does so much for our mental health. One of the things people don't understand, depression, when we suffer with depression and anxiety, it is how we think about things, how we process things that cause us to feel depressed or to feel anxious. And if we are a person that dwell on things, you're more likely to feel depressed about things than if you're a person who will let it go over your head. Now, if you are somebody says something to you and you think, oh, listen, that how you receive the information, that's what's gonna enable you to it's gonna make you either feel depressed, or it's gonna make you, it's just gonna blow over your head. And so it's how we receive information that makes us either feel depressed, anxious, or just move on, So please, and I'll just give you a scenario of some of the things you need to be. Now, if you're a person that what persons say about you, you take it personal, you'll find that it will hurt you so much that you'll dwell on it, you'll ponder on it, you'll think about it, and this will make you feel depressed. Now, if you're somebody who has a lot of confidence about who you are and you don't really think about any other persons, how others perceive you or how others think about you, you'll find that you're less likely to feel depressed about if somebody says something. You'll just blow over it. Well, you know what, I don't feel that way about myself, so whatever your opinion of me is so it's how we receive information that makes us become depressed or anxious, right? So if we think positive, right? If we feel push out more positive, be more positive to each other, be positive, feel positive about who we are, feel confident about who you are, right? You'll find that you're more likely to feel less depressive, less you'll have less issue when it comes on to low mood or anxiety, panic attacks, or these things, right? Another scenario that I will use is take, for example, somebody, you're going down the road and you've always had a conversation with this person. You see somebody and you always have a conversation. However, in this particular morning when you're going, the person somehow, and this is just a scenario I'm using of how we can receive information in a different way that makes us either feel let it blow over our head, or it can play on our emotion and on our mind and cause us to feel low and anxious and feel depressed. Now, if this is somebody that you know very well, you have a relationship, you have a conversation, not necessarily you always have a conversation with them, but this particular morning, this person is quite deep in thought, because perhaps they might have heard something that may have distracted them, and so they're quite deep in thought, and you may have passed them on that day, as you've always done every morning, and said, oh, hi, hello. But because they're so deep in thought, they have not heard that hello from you, right? And so this is, you're thinking, well, why every morning I call to her or him, and he always responds. So what's happening this morning? If you start to think on this, you'll start to think, wonder what's been said. Your mind will start to dig deeper into all these why. And you'll start to think, well, I'm not gonna be calling her again this tomorrow, because you know what? This today I spoke to her, not realizing that, listen, she didn't actually hear, because whatever it was so distracting that she didn't even hear that you've actually called. So you're starting to think and over processing the information, overthinking about why this, why that. And so it makes you start to isolate yourself. You pull away. So tomorrow you're not going to call to her. You're not going to say, no. On the flip side, if the same situation, however, I pass this person and I call to her, but because she's so deep in conversation, she didn't hear what I was saying. Not conversation, but deep in thoughts, because of what may be going on around her at that point. However, I think to myself, oh my goodness, she not even did hear me. So she really did deep in a conversation, you know. But I'll have to give her, the next time I see her, I'll let her know that I was calling to her. But she was so deep in a conversation, she never even realized that I was calling to her. Do you know what? Your mind will just let that fly over, because you have registered that in such a positive way that you recognize that it could have been a reason why that person did not actually hear you, right? So your mind won't start to be saying why, and start to think all the other negative and overthinking, over processing why this didn't happen, why that, because you actually think, oh, do you know what? She never even realized that I actually called her because she was so distracted. I'll have to find out tomorrow. When I see her tomorrow, I'll have to just have a conversation, the argument, because then how you perceive that makes you feel 100 times better than if you had done it, taken that situation and start to over process it. So people, how we perceive things, how we take things in, that's how depression, we start to feel depressed or anxious, or anxiety, panic attacks, and all these things. So let us endeavor to be positive in how we take on things, and not to over process things. Think about how you receive things, right? Because if you receive it and you over process, you're more likely to feel burdensome, worry about it. And so we know that things are not gonna get easier. We acknowledge that. We know that times are gonna get tough, and we might not even see any changes. And I know for Britain, I'm talking about for this country, for they say up until 2014 it might get, However, yes, there are going to be worries, because some people literally do not have money to light. And for those persons, I'm talking about those people with prepaid meters, because when you have when you have the prepaid meter, if you don't have the money to put on the meter, you're gonna be without electricity. However, if you have a meter that if you have the meter, the normal meter, the smart meter, at least, even if you don't have the money, because you use the gas, they'll have to send you the bill. And yes, the bill going to be hard, but at least you'll still have that thing going up. And I'm hoping that the government will actually put steps in place that these gas people, because of the amount of money they have made over COVID and all the money they are gonna be making now, that they put steps in place that they don't be turning off people's meter, because turning off people's electric or people's gas, because they are not in a position to pay. No, even if the people can't pay, there should be some kind of rules that will ensure that they don't leave people in darkness, or in where they don't have gas, so they can't even heat their homes. But I say this to say that we're gonna be going through tough times, but try knowing that yes, we can get through this. It's how we perceive things. We know, yes, it's gonna be tough, but let's look at how we can get through it. Okay, how can we get through it? Yeah, some people just put the heating on. Try and put the heating on for 1 hour if you can. Right? Get a lot of warm blankets, even if you have to go get them from charity, or places. I know there are a lot of places in this country that you can get warm. Just get, even if you have to put on all of your clothes them where you have in your house, and go under your blanket. It's not ideal, but think about how we can actually get through this crisis without having to worry too much and put it stress our brain. And sometimes it's just unavoidable, sadly, because it's not easy. I can sit here and say to you, oh, try not to worry, but I don't know how bad this is going to be for people. I know it's gonna be bad, but I'm not in the other person's shoes. And yes, I understand, because I am not from a privileged background, so I know it's gonna be cold, and I have to be thinking about, do I need to be putting on this heating for hours? Do I need to turn it off? No, because I know what the bill is going to be like, but I understand, but I don't know how to our extent some people situation is gonna do. So I can only put myself into other person's shoes and just understand it's going to be a tough winter this year. But I know and I do believe, if we work together, if we encourage each other, we can get through this. We can get through it if we support each other, if we look out for each other. Look out for your neighbor. I can only say it again and again. Look out for your neighbor. Look out for the little old lady down the road. Look out for the little old man down the road. You know he doesn't have any family members living with him, but you know that he lives alone. Go and knock on him door and say, Master Fred, how you doing? You all right? You have food, you have, and don't make it feel like you're intruding in him life. Just say, we know, say, things challenging and stuff, but me just make sure say you're all right. If you need any support, make sure you can get in touch with me. This is my number. Even if you have to text me come, just let us not live for our own self, and just live for each other, because believe you me, this world would be such a better place, so much better, if we could just take that time to be nicer and kinder to each other, right? And I say again, how we perceive things, how we take things in, that's how it's gonna affect how our mental health. It's either gonna affect us in a negative way or in a positive way. So endeavor not to dwell too much on things, not to over process things, but to look on the positive side. How can we get through this without feeling too overwhelmed with what's gonna happen? Right? Look at support. Look at I often say this, and I'll always say this when I speak to one of the things, God, I'm so glad that the job that the Lord has, the career has taught me a lot of ways to be able to use the natural things, to bring out certain things. And one of the things I often say when I'm doing a session with somebody is always never look at your crisis and look at it from this angle, because if you look at it from that angle, you will never ever see what is around you. Always take a step back. And if we can take a step back and look at things, we'll find that there are so much things around us that we can use. If we might not see it, because if we're in a crisis, you can never see. If you're standing in front of a brick wall, you'll never see what is beyond the big brick wall. However, perhaps if you take a step backwards, you'll find that you have a clearer vision to see what is around you, what else that you can use. So always take a step backwards. Just take a step back. So you can reassess the situation. So you can think about, okay, what steps can I take? Because if you take a step backward, you can take a step forward, right? But if you're up on the brick wall, there's no way you can go, right? Other than to just step back and reassess the situation. So let us reassess the situation. We know it's happening. We know we're in it. And there's no way that, we can avoid it. However, I'm sure that there are ways that we can get through it. We can't avoid it, but we can get through it together, right? So let us reassess the situation and try and get through it in a way that we know, every one of us can get through by helping each other, supporting each other, encouraging each other. And so I will come here, hopefully, if God give me the strength, each Saturday night and just encourage people. We can all get through this, right? It doesn't matter who you are or what situation you find yourself in. There's always something out there or someone out there who will be more than happy to help. We just have to reach out to the right person. And oftentimes it might take a little bit longer to get to that person. But you know what? Prayer changes so much situation. And you know what? Sometimes the person might not be in our reach, but if we pray, God move the people, move them into our reach. So we know we can get through these trying times. We know we can do it, but we have to be positive about it. And for those of us who are able to help, let us help each other. Help each other to get through, right? Because we are better when we are united. We work better when we're able to unite together, right? So let us get through this and get through it, because we know we can get through it. So people, I am so grateful for those persons who have tuned in another Saturday Night Live. Take some time to look after yourself, care for you, care for your family, care for your loved ones. Family is so important, right? Because, one of the things that if you have family, appreciate them, because there are many people out there who really don't have that family network. And you know what? When you're going through and you can speak to a family member who will be able to support you and encourage you, that is so much. Because you know what? There are so many millions of people living around us who really don't have that support network. So let us appreciate family, love upon your family, look after your family, look after your loved ones, and also look after those people around you. You know, look after each other. Until next time, have a blessed week. For those persons who will be going to church later on, if you are in the UK later on today, you know, enjoy, pray without ceasing, pray for each other, pray for the poor, pray for the weak, pray for the afflicted, pray for the vulnerable. Let us pray one for another, because prayer can change so much things, right? God bless and look after yourself until next time. Have a blessed night. Until next time, walk good, love and all. All right?
Be an artist there tonight, brother and man. Hold on. Picture that I just started to do your one. Put the sound.